Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I want to talk about the new Knives Out sequel, Glass Onion. Writer-director Rian Johnson has had a very interesting decade as a filmmaker. I first discovered him with Looper, an excellent sci-fi thriller that has become a bit of a cult classic. If you haven't seen it, do it. Around that time, he was also responsible for directing a few Breaking Bad episodes, most notably the Ozymandias episode, which is near the end of the final season. However, I think most people nowadays recognize him as the guy who fucked up the new Star Wars trilogy beyond repair with Episode 8 The Last Jedi. Personally, I did not detest the film quite as much as many of my friends. There's a lot that I find I can extract from it and analyze and inspire myself with. But even so, I just can't ignore the massive plot holes in the film, which is kind of disappointing seeing that Rian Johnson is indeed a very talented filmmaker. What can I say? It's a love-hate relationship with this film. But hopefully moving forward, history will remember him with more successful films. Which brings us to his next project in 2019, which would be Knives Out. He wrote and directed it, and it came out and became a smashing critical and commercial success. The film even earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Original Screenplay. So thanks to the success the film received, it made a sequel a possibility. So I jumped at the opportunity to go see this film in the cinema in its limited 1-week theatrical release. And yes, it is coming out on Netflix a week later, but honestly, if you do have a chance to go see it while it's still in cinemas, please do. Watching films from the comfort of your home is great and all, and I do see the benefit of it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hating on it. But there is something that's lost in the process. There's something magical about sharing the experience with good folks around you. At the very least, invite a bunch of friends over and watch it together. This film was so much fun with an audience. First off, I was blown away by Glass Onion's stylish presentation. There were some very clever editing tricks done early on in the film, and things only get more lavish as we progress. As for the location, I love the contrast between the claustrophobic mansion in the previous film and now the luxurious, open, private island in Greece. Honestly, this billionaire island was insane. Some of the areas just had my jaw drop to the floor. This applies to the mesmerizing spectacle, and there are some that will just catch you completely off guard, as well as some absolutely absurd elements that I will not spoil. Anyone who's seen the film knows exactly what I'm talking about. Anyway, paired with the environment, the film sports an incredible wide range in its color palette. And all the costumes are just gorgeously designed and properly reflect the soul of the characters. Wow, they all look amazing. Which leads me to my next point of praise, and it may be the highest praise that the film could get, and that will be for the incredible ensemble cast. Of course, we have Daniel Craig, who returns as the master detective Benoit Blanc, and he is just a joy to see on screen. He's rapidly becoming one of my favorite on-screen detectives. He has just such a heartwarming personality and great sense of humor, and it never gets old to see a master detective hard at work solving an impenetrable case. And then, as you may have noticed, we have Edward Norton, who plays the billionaire Miles Braun. And as expected, Edward Norton gives a rich and detailed and unforgettable performance. And then there's the rest of the invited guests on this Greek island, and they all shine bright like diamonds. We have Catherine Hahn as Claire, who is a politician, Leslie Odom Jr. as Lionel, a scientist, Kate Hudson as Birdie, a former model, Jessica Henwick as Peg, Birdie's assistant. We have Dave Bautista as Duke, a Twitch streamer and men's rights activist, and Madeline Klein as Whiskey, Duke's super hot girlfriend. And then there's a surprise cameo appearances. And of course, I'm not going to spoil any of them, and believe me, there's a lot of them, and you won't see it coming. They come in all sorts of shapes and forms. They are outrageous and an absolute highlight of the film, something that I wasn't expecting at all. There's one appearance in particular that just blew my mind. Never in a million years would I have pictured in my mind to see this human reading a copy of Gravity's Rainbow. Don't get me wrong, it's an incredible piece of creative literature, but I just never thought of a pairing like that, especially in a Knives Out film of all possible things. What? Anyway, as you may have noticed, I left a single cast member out thus far, and that will be Janelle Monáe. She is by far the biggest surprise here. Oh my god, she has such an incredible presence on screen. When she enters the frame for the first time, it's as if she sucked the air out of the room for the characters on screen and for the audience in the cinema room. Wow. Finally, Glass Onion is an exceedingly clever mystery with a supremely satisfying ending. Of course, I will not spoil a single thing for you guys. But let it be known that this is the kind of film that's going to be a lot of fun to rewatch because there's so many clever little details in the script that are there in plain sight for everyone to see, but you just will never be able to pick up on it on a first run. Additionally, it's an incredibly funny film. The jokes are clever and have a way of circling back full circle and biting you in the ass. Honestly, throughout the entire film-going experience, the audience in the cinema was a barrel full of laughs, gasps, and cheers. This truly is a crowd pleaser. However, as clever and satisfying as the ending may be, I don't think it's quite as unpredictable as some of the best whodunits out there, especially when you compare it to the source material from which Knives Out is completely inspired from, and that will be Agatha Christie and her master detectives such as Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. It is not by accident that she is known as the Queen of Crime or the Mistress of Mystery. For the vast majority of her books, I'd reach the ending and be completely wrong about what my prediction of who was the murderer or whatever the mystery at hand was. And it's just such an incredible achievement that she was able to do that over and over and over again. It's what made her books such a smashing success. And just as a fun fact, Agatha Christie is the most widely published author of all time, outsold only by the Bible and Shakespeare. Her books have sold more than 1 billion copies in English and another billion in 100 foreign languages. Holy crap. Yes, as you can tell, I'm a huge Agatha Christie fan. In fact, I recently completed my collection of her entire bibliography, which is about 82 books? It's an almighty achievement, to say the least. Anyway, back on track. Though I do praise the cast and their performances, I feel like some of the characters don't have enough meat on their bones. And it is a shame because the actors are great. They did a wonderful performance with what was there. But some of them are definitely not as fleshed out as other characters. And add on top of that, I had a bit of a delayed reaction where a thought came into mind. There's at least one element that seems like a problematic narrative loose end in my opinion. It doesn't break the experience, but it did seem like a bit of a contradiction and a problematic detail, for me at least. Maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, and maybe I'm wrong as well. And of course, I won't go into details. And finally, while I'm complaining, there's a detail that, once again, I'm not going to spoil near the end of the film that just had my soul screaming on the inside. I was like, no! It was an absolute crime for it to happen. And I hope that some idiot doesn't get inspired by this in the wrong way. I will leave it at that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the first Knives Out film, and I felt like it was very much a return to form for Rian Johnson. But I was worried that he wouldn't be able to recapture the magical essence of that first attempt. Was this another cash grab? Honestly, it felt like catching lightning in a bottle with that first Knives Out film, so it felt like we were asking for a miracle with this sequel. But honestly, I am happy to say that I was completely wrong, and not only was I wrong, but it completely surpassed my expectations. And on a side note, next to Kenneth Branagh's Hercule Poirot films, these Knives Out films are just soaring high with creativity and artistic flair. And at the same time, they feel incredibly grounded. There are no uncanny green screen tricks that completely break my immersion here. And it's also refreshing to see new original stories that are very well integrated in modern times in some very clever ways. Honestly, Glass Onion blows the whodunit competition way out of the water. I'm giving Glass Onion no lower than 8.5 out of 10. If Rian Johnson has this much fire left in reserve for a third Knives Out film, I'm all in. And by the way, yes, a third film has already been confirmed, so just a question of time. Benoit Blanc is quickly becoming the next cinema sensation, and I am very happy to sing my praises to it. And once again, it was a blast to see it in the cinema, so I do recommend you go check it out if you have the chance, of course. I highly recommend this film. And that is all for today. As always, wishing you and your loved ones nothing but the best. Take care and talk to you soon.